What's up, guys? Welcome to part 2 of the 06 Classic conversion. Let's jump right into it and discuss what we need in order to complete the color match. Let's go. Alright guys, I went ahead and laid everything that you need out on the table so you can see what we need in order to complete the color match. So let's get started. First of all, you want to be as clean as possible. So we've got some water-based cleaner and some wax and grease remover. You want to make sure you're always spraying on a nice clean surface. Then you want to scuff your surface, right? So we've got the red scuff pads. This is all you need right here, man. But I also have some sandpaper there because some people like to use sandpaper. It's really just personal preference. I've also got a DA sander, but I'm actually going to be doing the entire truck by hand because I know a lot of people don't have a DA sander. So I'm going to be doing this whole truck by hand so you can see that it can be done. Now let's talk about paint, okay? When it comes to paint, I use Roberlo products. I've had great success with them. It's a really good paint company and they're not that expensive. That's why I like it. And when it comes to product line, I would suggest you keep it the same. You know, if you're using Roberlo base, make sure you use Roberlo clear coat. That way you know you're not going to have any adhesion issues, and that's just one less thing to worry about. And then we've got some masking tape over here with some plastic sheathing in order to cover the rest of the truck. That way we don't get any overspray. And then most importantly, we've got your mask. You really don't want to be breathing this stuff in. Now the star of the show, the Harbor Freight Black Widow paint gun, man. Y'all have watched my videos, y'all have seen what this gun can do. This is what we're going to be using for the sealer, for the base coat, for the clear coat. This gun is a workhorse, and sometimes you can find them on sale at Harbor Freight for 150 bucks. Highly recommend. All right. Now, when it comes to compressors, I have a 60-gallon compressor, but that's only because I do full paint jobs, right? If you're doing something like this, I recommend you get a 30-gallon compressor. And last but not least, we've got my Harbor Freight 10. I got this thing on sale, $200, works great, and this is what I started painting vehicles. And if you guys want to start painting vehicles, I recommend you get this starter set with the 30-gallon compressor. This is all you need in order to do color matching, and that's what I recommend you start off with. I think you should start off doing color matches, front-end conversions. You know, everybody wants to do the 04 to 06 Classic conversion, and some people want to do the 2000 to 2006 conversion. So I recommend you start off with that, doing bumper color matches, color matching the mirrors, the handles. Just, you know, get into it with the starter set and see if you like it. And if you do, then you can upgrade your compressor to a 60-gallon compressor in the future. Now let's jump into the steps that we need in order to complete this conversion. Number one, we need to clean the panels and make sure that there's no dust, wax, and grease on them. Then we're going to need to scuff the panels and sand them to make sure that that paint has something to stick to. Then we're going to shoot the sealer, base coat, and then we're going to blend the panels. We're going to blend the old paint with the new paint because, like I said in my previous video, you just can't paint a panel and stick it on the truck. You need to blend the paint. I'll be going over that later. And then we're going to shoot the clear coat, guys, and as simple as that. So let's go ahead and get started by setting up this Harbor Freight garage. So this is my Harbor Freight garage. Obviously it's used, I've worked with it in the past. It's really easy to set up. So I'm not gonna bore y'all with the process of building the tent. I just went ahead and already did it. That way we can focus on the primary objective of painting the front end. So let's go ahead and get started with that hood. All right guys, so the hood is all ready to be sealed up. Today I'm gonna be using Pure Reflections 1K sealer. And one of the most asked questions that I still continue to get is, how do I know what sandpaper to use when I'm scuffing up the panel? And every paint product out there has what is called a technical data sheet. And the technical data sheet will show you exactly what you need to do in order to prep that panel for paint. So for example, I'm using Pure Reflections. I go on Google, I type Pure Reflections technical data sheet, and it literally takes me to the page and it shows me exactly what I need to do in order to paint this panel. Sometimes they're very detailed, sometimes they don't give you any information, but the technical data sheet is what you need to look at, man. Sometimes it'll give you air pressures, temperature, humidity. It gives you all that information. So I recommend you guys go check out the technical data sheet if you do decide to paint. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and shoot this paint. I'm gonna be shooting the sealer and base coat at 26 PSI. Alright guys, I had to stop painting because it is so hot in Houston right now that the paint is drying before it hits the fender. It's insane. Never seen it before. Yeah, it's about 99 degrees. Well, actually now it just hit 100. So it just hit 100 degrees right now, but it feels like 108. Low humidity though, so you know you want low humidity when you're painting. But yeah, man, I can't. I'm gonna have to do it overnight. And I could easily go into the garage, but you know, I'm making this video for people who don't have a garage, and this is just something that you'd have to do, man. You'd have to stop painting and do it overnight. So I'm gonna be showing y'all how it's done at night. But now I'm heading to my parents' house. We're gonna spend my grandparents' house. We're gonna spend some quality time. It's actually Father's Day, so we're gonna go eat some good food and we'll finish up the truck overnight. And for now, I'm riding around with no hood. Hopefully they don't pull me over for it. I don't think it's against the law or anything, but I do have 5% limo tint with a 5% eyebrow that's like way below the line. So I might catch a little bit of attention, but we'll see. We'll be all right. It's Houston, man. They don't care too much. But yep, I'll check in with you guys when I'm back. And yeah, we're gonna paint this overnight, guys. See ya. All right, guys, we're back. As you can see, the sun is down. Still about 90 degrees, but it's much more manageable than 99 degrees. So let's go check out the hood and see what happened. So I got good coverage, but it just feels really rough. I mean, you hear that? You're not supposed to be able to hear that, man. It's supposed to be nice and smooth. So it's got good coverage on there. It's just really rough. So all I'm gonna do is take the DA sander and sand it completely smooth with I think 400 grit, and then spray the base coat on it. So I don't want to risk spraying that primer again and having the same issue and then having to wait for it to dry, sand it over again. So we got good coverage on it. We're just gonna skip to the base coat part and then jump into clear. So let's get to it, guys. neighbors are like, what is this guy up to? All right, let's hit the road and get this truck back together. All right, guys, so the hood is completed. It looks really good. It's all dried up. A little bit of orange peel. I got 1 or 2 bugs that I need to take care of, but other than that, came out super clean. Now, we need to get started on these fenders because we need to start blending the paint. And as you saw yesterday, man, we're fighting against that sun right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started before it gets a little too hot to shoot the paint. So let's jump right into it, man. All right, guys, this is what you're looking for, a nice dull uniform look. This is with 800 grit, and it's all one solid uniform texture. That's what you're looking for. All right, guys, so the sun is coming up, so I'm gonna go ahead and start taping everything up, and yeah, we're gonna get to shooting in a minute right here. There it is, guys. We're only going to be shooting paint up here, remember, so it doesn't have to be perfect. It's all going to be clear coat. Clear coat can always come off. Overspray of clear coat is not that bad, but you know, just remember you're going to have paint up here, so it's a little important that you cover everything that you don't want sprayed up. Same thing on the other side. Not the best tape job, but you know, we're trying to beat that sun, and I can already feel the heat coming on, so we better get started. Oh man. All right, guys, let's take a break real quick and talk about why we blend and the blending process itself. So our objective is to get paint all the way up to this body line right here. This is where we're gonna do our blend at, on this body line. And you always wanna use body lines to your advantage because they help hide the blend very well. I mean, it's obvious, right? The panel's at a different angle right here, so the sun hits it differently, so you're not gonna be able to tell where the blend starts and ends. So always use body lines to your advantage. So the process is pretty simple. We're just going to feather the paint in and follow that body line. Very simple process, but the problem is when we have overspray that hits this panel down here, if overspray lands on this panel and it's dry, it's gonna leave a grainy texture, almost like sand. It's gonna feel like sand is all over this panel when you go shoot the clear. And the way to counteract that is to leave a wet bed for the overspray to land in. That way the overspray can disperse evenly and the color disperses evenly, and that blend is nice and smooth. That might be hard to understand, and it was hard for me to understand, so let me give you a little illustration to help out. All right, guys, let's pretend this is our panel that we're trying to blend onto, okay? So, and let's pretend that this dirt is overspray, because dirt is essentially dust particles in the air. It dries as it's floating throughout the air. And I'll put a little clip of some overspray that I caught last night flying around the light. All that is dust particles in the air. So this is essentially overspray, right? So if we take a little bit of that overspray and put it on the panel, you can see it stays at one spot, because it doesn't have a wet bed to lay onto. It doesn't have that blending additive or clear base on it. Now let's pretend that this water is my clear base or blending additive, whatever the company wants to call it. It's either called clear base or blending additive. And let's add it to the panel and see what it does to the overspray. And we take our overspray and lay it on there, And as you can see, it disperses that overspray a lot better. And that's what we want for our overspray. We want it to disperse that color out. We want it to lay flat. And this is obviously an exaggerated example, but I think it really helps you understand why we need to lay a wet foundation for that overspray to land onto. So in the next clip, guys, that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're going to first spray the entire panel with clear base or blending additive. The companies call them different things, but it's essentially a clear base coat, a base coat without color in it. And that's gonna give you that wet foundation that you need. Then I'm gonna lay the color, blend it into the panel, and let it land on that wet foundation. But really the primary objective is to get that paint on that strip, right? And that's how you blend the panel. So let's get back to the truck and I'll show you what I'm talking about.